Up until recently, I was just a consumer of the fast fashion industry who enjoyed the beauty of fabrics, colorful prints, and the power of social media. Knowing nothing about its environmental impact on our planet, I kept purchasing garments each month and never thought about where and how my clothes will end up after I decided to discard them. You see, when you grow up in the middle of Europe with no access to the oceans, you barely face the reality until you see it with your own eyes. Just a few years ago, walking into the vast beauty of the never-ending horizon, I would have different feelings in me than I do today. This last year, I had been through several stages where I wondered who I am and why I do what I do. I looked for explanations in my past decisions and hoped to find answers I was looking for. What is it that we have to learn now, and how will our life be different? Will we become more patient, conscious, more mindful? This global pandemic gave me a direction which had never happened if it wouldn't be a global moment of pause. I decided to reverse the things and go back to school. Studying at Condé Nast opened up my eyes and taught me everything I know, think, and love about fashion. Walking on this beach today shows me where I am now and gives me a clear vision who I hope to be in the future. I sense a similarity between our lives and our beaches today. It is clear how I would like to see the ocean shore, peaceful and clean, like my thoughts and intentions are. And I want to live my life more sustainable. I produce less waste. I started to design my own clothes from recycled fabric. I never purchase real or synthetic leather again, and I clean our beaches regularly. This is how I would like the fashion industry to be: conscious, environmentally friendly, less waste producing, and more recycling. If the mess in my thoughts led me to lose myself, then to reinvent my identity, imagine what would happen to the whole industry if it had to reinvent itself. But for that, we must come together and act as one to reverse the irreversible, because our planet is dying. We are running out of resources, our temperature is rising, the ozone layer is thinning, and our oceans are warming. We fill our lands with non-biodegradable waste and burn our forests. We kill our wildlife and sacrificing our fresh water. Today, I walk on this beach and I don't look for answers in the past. Today, I look for actions for our future. I want you to meet the most inspiring young activist, Melody, the co-founder of an environmental movement, Bye Bye Plastic Bags and Youthopia. It started with an island-wide initiative to ban single-use plastic bags, and since 2013, Bye Bye Plastic Bags has spread to 25 locations around the world, and they achieved to be featured on Forbes. They won CNN's Young Wonders Award. They are the youngest female activist speaking on the World Economic Forum and on the 2020 UN Ocean Conference. Can you tell me about your organization? When did you start it, and where did this whole journey lead you?
Yeah, I grew up on the island of Bali here in Indonesia, and look outside, we're surrounded by nature at such a young age. And so when I was 12 years old, I started asking certain questions of why plastic pollution was ending up in our environment. I'm sure you've seen here, the plastic problem is just so in your face, there's no escaping it. So at 12 years old, I knew there was something wrong. Plastic shouldn't be ending up here. Why is it ending up here? And what can we do about it? So together with my younger sister, we started our first organization, which we thought was going to be, a passion project. We were going to succeed in a summertime, It was Bye Bye Plastic Bags, and 7-8 years later, here we still are, campaigning actively. The vision of what we set out to do was to make our island home of Bali plastic bag free. It was as simple as that. Bye Bye Plastic Bags, it says it in the name. And yeah, we focus a lot on changing mindsets, education, making sure that people understand what the problem is so they can be part of the solution as well.
Amazing. Can you tell me about the response from organizations, from different governments, and like your surroundings? Like how did you actually reach all that you've done so far?
Yeah, I think we started at the right time. You know, if you think about bye-bye plastic bags, it's nothing new. There have been scientists, leadership crews, NGOs in the same field that have been saying years before us, plastic bags should be banned. So what made us different? I think we started at a time where the people were ready for change. They started seeing the problem just like we did. But we were also unique and different and stood out because it was a bunch of young people, kids, 12 and 10 years old when we started, who stood up and said, we have to do something about it. And if kids can say that, what is keeping the adults from changing? So I think that has allowed us to build a lot of momentum. It has been, we were met with a lot of inspiration and very positive feedback. But there were also sometimes moments where we had to work extra hard to convince why we needed to do this in the first place. So it's been a learning journey of 7 years, and I'm still, learning every day about the different types of reaction on how to move forward for a more sustainable world.
What would you say was the biggest challenge for you to overcome?
Still today, one of the biggest challenges and frustrations, I must say, is that change is not happening fast enough. It shouldn't have taken 6 years for our movement, but previously with other organizations, to ban single-use plastic bags. That's one item for one island. What about the country? What about all the different communities and all the different items of plastic? So I think that's one of my biggest challenges of how to stay motivated and how to make sure that we all understand the long-term bigger picture. It's not done just because we said ban plastic bags. What's next? Right? So it's a long-term lifetime journey almost.
From my experience, what I can say is that coming from the middle of Europe, where we have no oceans and I had no access to beach and actually see with my own eyes the problem, it only came to me in my mind that we really have to change once I came here to Bali and I saw the situation of the beaches, and when it starts to rain, how much garbage actually flows through the rivers to the ocean. I think this is a very special place to start such an organization. And I must say that I don't know what, in terms of time, what considers to be short or long, but I see the change already in Europe, which is really far from here, but I already see people doing some more sustainable things in their lives, even everyday people, just not carrying plastic bag anymore, just not using plastic anymore. So it's a beautiful thing that you started. Can you tell me about Youthopia and actually how did you get in contact with the UN and with all the big organizations around the world? Like, it's a huge achievement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, those stages were really an honor to be on. I think at such a young age to be in a room of world leaders, of opportunity, it was an incredible honor. But I think we were building so much momentum that we got invited to speak on those stages. But our favorite stages was in a classroom with more students, like-minded young people. And when we shared what we did, we would get lines and lines of students coming up to us just wanting to ask the question, how can I do what you're doing? And that's where, with Bye Bye Plastic Bags, we now have 50 global teams in 30 countries, all led by young people, focusing on plastic pollution. But when the ban for plastic bags came here in Bali in 2019, for me personally, that felt like mission accomplished. Wow. What's next? What can I focus on for the next chapters of my life? And because of the last 7 years actively at the front lines, I felt a huge growth for a new passion, which was youth empowerment, answering that exact question that kids were asking, how can I do what you do? I wanted to answer that, and that's where Youthopia comes in. We're a community-centric platform with learning at its core, and we work together with real-life, frontline young changemakers who don't only focus on plastic pollution, but refugee rights, more humanitarian work, agriculture, focusing on that using the guideline of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And we build together with them peer-to-peer programs from concept to delivery that empowers the rising young changemaker. So that's what Youthopia is all about.
Can you tell me the platform where you actually represented Youthopia all around the world? Different platforms, just to give an example of how far you reached.
Well, it's more because Youthopia is relatively new still. We launched in Davos at the World Economic Forum, but with bioplastic bags, we've been at the UN headquarters, we've been at TED, given 3 TEDx's. What are some other crazy stages? CNN Heroes. We've been listed in Times and Forbes, and I think that's really where as well the shift in the narrative that we've seen is that suddenly traditional institutions, corporations, listings are now starting to shift their attention to the younger generation because it's a generation on the rise. It's unstoppable. You cannot ignore us. We're on the streets. We're calling out businesses. We demand more from producers. So suddenly you're seeing a generation that's a lot louder in understanding the overall ecosystems that exist. We do not just want to have a fancy product. We want to know where that product is coming from, who made that product, and what is going to happen after I'm done using that product. So suddenly we're asking big questions. And I think that that's also what brings us all of this attention and what we've had the incredible honor to appear at stages like that, to appear in conferences and platforms where a lot of the times we're the only ones under 30 and we're part of a handful of women represented in the room.
Exactly. And I think that we must have uncomfortable topics to talk about in order to speak about something better in the future, So this is the right time to do that. And I must say that I think the only way out of saving the planet and having something for our future generation is education. And that's what exactly you're doing. You're educating the youth generation. It's unbelievable. Thank you very, very much. And then my last question is that what do you foresee in your future? Like in the next 5 years, what kind of plans do you have?
I definitely am focusing the next 5 years on building Youthopia to becoming the world's headquarter for young changemakers. I really want it to become the go-to platform where any young person that wants to find out how to create change can come to a safe community where they can see their own role models, people who are just like them, implementing change and learning that. And so far, to be honest, that's all I've got planned for myself the next couple of years. But I think, where I have a lot of joy in is actually connecting on a real human level and understanding the stories of other young people. What makes them wake up every single morning ready to make a difference? What are their challenges? What are their motivational, strengthening points? So I think I see myself doing a lot of work in youth empowerment and overall kind of just sustaining that for everybody and the generation I'm a part of.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you very much for your time. And keep doing what you're doing. It's very inspiring, and I hope to see you in some platform talk to Hungarian people as well.
Nature has always been on our side, and it proved us once again. It healed while we were locked down and wounded. It is in our hand what life we will live in the years of time. Here and only now we have a chance to change. There are many entrepreneurs who want to help and change the toxic way a fashion industry performs its fabric production. And we have to talk about uncomfortable topics in order to have better conversations in the future. This is the moment I start to feel optimistic about what is yet to come. Having an interesting conversation with Mary, who opened up my eyes regarding the synthetic and eco-leather industry, was followed by a Zoom call with Kai Paul, the co-founder of Indosole, a sustainable footwear company creating the sole of their sandals and flip-flops from recycled tires.
My background is a bit unusual, I would say, for this kind of biotech company that I'm trying to create, because I used to work as a model and then a model agent. That was my career for 10 years. And I used to manage models internationally, placing them from New York to London to Tokyo and so on. And it was fun for a while, but also working as a model, I always thought that I should do something way bigger than that. And I always wanted to do some social impact and environmental impact. And that's why in March last year, I decided to quit all the industry. And but I think still having this contacts from fashion industry may play well for me. When I quit my modeling career last March, like exactly a year ago, almost these days, I basically didn't know what to do. I was just fed up with modeling and everything related to it, but I kind of saw myself in fashion, but in a different way. I didn't want to create a new brand of fashion, of clothes or something. It was not for me. So then I was, you know, Corona started, but like world was in the middle of pandemic. I was decently frustrated with thinking, what do I do in my life? What would be my next step? Why did I quit for? And then I was working with my psychologist at the time, and she asked me one question that really made me think of my life. So she asked, if everything in the world is possible and you would never fail, what would you do? And I took some time to think about it, and mushroom leather didn't come to me like this. I was thinking for a while, and I understood that the answer, like if money is not an issue, if failure is not an issue, 100% I'll do something sustainable, something to help this planet, because I also, I'm a member of the movement here in Bali to clean the beaches, and we do beach cleanup every Sunday, and I would see this trash and it would just make my heart break. So I really wanted to do something, and I know mushroom leather would not solve global plastic pollution problem, unfortunately, but at least that's minimum I can do.
Can you tell me what's kind of difference between synthetic leather and the leather that you make from the mushroom?
Synthetic leather is absolutely not sustainable. It's completely chemical, and it's not biodegradable. So basically, when you take, I don't know, your belt or your wallet, and you're tired of it, you know, like consumerist environment, people change these things daily, and then it just never biodegrades. It never dissolves. It never becomes like one thing with the soil. So it pollutes the environment, but the worst part is actually the tanning process of synthetic leather. So in order to finish and color the leathers, it's called like tanning. That's and dyeing of synthetic leather. That is an environmental disaster. It requires so much water, and that water that they use, it pollutes the rivers like crazy. Whoever is interested should watch videos about India when they produce it, and it's just terrible. That areas where they make synthetic leather is terrible. But it's cheap. So many brands, they buy it, and they also, funny enough, they call it vegan leather. It's a trade-off. It's on one hand you don't kill the animal, but animal leather we kind of in a landfill, sooner or later it would degrade, but synthetic leather will not. But meanwhile, it's made out of plastic and oil, so it's really bad for environment, unfortunately.
What would you call like the biggest challenge that you have to face during your development process?
The biggest challenge for me was to start, because I've never done anything like that before, so it's completely new. I've never done business in my life before, so actually to get started was extremely difficult, and I was super hesitant, but I knew it's mushroom leather will not create itself, so someone has to create it. Someone has to change the world and make it a better place. And challenges, financial challenge is obviously a huge issue, because starting biotech company in the world normally requires a huge amount of capital, but so far I'm just doing that from my savings. Let's see how long it will last.
It was a random series of events that actually happened in California. I met my business partner, Kyle Parsons, founder CEO, back in 2009, snowboarding up in Tahoe. He was showing the product for the first time in a trade show, and I wanted to be a part of it. And then circumstances led one to another, and then I ended up back in Bali in 2011. And been in Bali since then. Well, I mean, two things. I mean, the online sales obviously in the last 10 years have dramatically increased, and especially just in the last year because of Corona, it's accelerated the online marketplace extremely. You know, the other thing is that people are more in tune with specialty stores, so the people that do things really well in the retail business stick around now compared to before. You could almost do any retail, put it in a mall, whatever really you wanted to do, because there was more shoppers that would go to a store. Now there's less shoppers that go to an actual physical store. So you got to be really ahead of the game and really be really good at what you do in the retail space. Second thing that in the physical retail space, because there's more online shopping now. The second thing is obviously the trend in sustainability. So which we were ahead of the game on, fortunately, and continue to push. So the trend of sustainability has is a good thing because more people are pushing to do things better and more responsibly, and something that we're really happy to be a part of. Um, so it's those two things: the trend towards online shopping and the push for sustainability. You know, everybody needs to make sustainable products, um, and have some sort of sustainability aspect to their product in order to captivate the consumer or the customer. Um, and now what we see is that it's just going to be part of your everyday product, and so you really got to tell better stories. So pretty soon most products will have a sustainable aspect, some sort of responsibility story built into the product. And so now we're looking to push past that and continue innovating and tell good stories within the community and people, and help push for a better future, really.
That raises me the other question: what about the fast fashion brands that are, like, let's say, polluting the whole industry? What do you think is going to happen to them?
Well, they have they have a huge opportunity to help the industry change, because one thing that sustainability, you know, it, the push has been happening, but it's only just now really getting into the manufacturer level, because manufacturers have had to change their processes and procedures and sourcing, and the demand for sustainable products has pushed manufacturing now. So, and that takes years to happen because it's a big system. You know, some of these larger manufacturers have massive factories and big machines that they can't just change overnight. So the push to do things better has now reached the manufacturing level, and now we're kind of reaching the golden age in sustainability, where manufacturers are starting to understand that their clients, which are brands like ourselves, other brands, I mean, even up to Nike, Reebok, Adidas, you know, these larger footwear companies, Vans, are now asking for them to do things better. So we're really reaching the heart of sustainability now at the manufacturing level. The consumer, it starts with you, it starts with me, it starts with everybody who buys products that demands to have things made better and more responsibly. And that's slowly trickled up the chain to the manufacturing level. And so I think it's going to continue to push that way, because now that it's becoming normal to manufacture in that way, it's going to be easier and easier for brands to produce in a more responsible, sustainable fashion. But there's still a lot of work to be done. There are so many collaborations right now in the market, especially in the footwear market, but basically every market now in the fashion industry. Like, do you have in foreseeable future any kind of collaboration? Yeah, well, recently we had an interesting collaboration with Bridgestone Tires, where they gave us tires for a production run, and part of that, the we'll be providing shoe. They will be providing along with us. We'll be providing shoes for Souls. So it's an organization that provides shoes for people that need it, that underprivileged communities. Well, yeah, I mean, the major challenge that we faced was on-time delivery and then scaling our production, because we worked with a small manufacturer for many years, which we truly love and we're still working with. But our process, we were just cutting motorbike tires in the beginning. Then we cut the sidewalls of car tires. And then that led us to where we are today, where we grind the tire and we remold them. A uniform and consistent durable product was a huge challenge for us. that we could scale and deliver on time and deliver in quantity. So it was a challenge to meet all those consistency, on time, and scalability. Those three things with high quality. So it's this perfect mix of things that you have to deliver if you want any chance to be in the market. They don't really care if you're sustainable. I mean, some do, but you have to try and get this baseline where you look good, you're consistent, you're durable, you're high quality. Oh, and you're sustainable? Great.
I always felt that I had to compromise my fashion taste on the altar of sustainable clothing. It was hard to find not only affordable, but up-to-date designs that can compete with the fancy fast fashion brand choices. Annika is the founder of Wearwise, who is a conscious influencer you may know by her fabulous travel Instagram feed, Love Life Passport, and we were talking about her sustainable activewear brand and their inspiring activity raising money to support locals here in Bali.
Can you tell me a little bit about the fabric creation, how the yarns and how the fabric are created, and where do you create it?
Yes, so oh my God, it's a whole process. So basically there's companies that send their divers with like big fishing net basically to collect all the plastic in the ocean, and like you call it ghost nets, so old fishing nets that are on the ocean ground basically. We have massive machines to extract all the toxins from the plastic, and then they recycle it into the different kind of fabrics, which is amazing because obviously I've done all my research about all the plastic in the ocean, and it's just insane how many animals in the ocean die every single day because we are putting all the plastic in the ocean. So with the brand Wearwise, I'm trying to support it and to basically raise awareness that yeah, we need to change something, and by basically creating these sustainable fabrics, we can even use the plastic in the ocean and create something beautiful out of it. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I hope so, at least. I think there will always be people that maybe don't really see the importance of investing a little bit of more money into a sustainable shirt or sustainable swimwear, sustainable fashion in general. But I think right now there is like a crazy shift at the moment happening, and more people care about sustainability, and more people actually educate themselves about what's happening with our planet. And I think there is a shift which will help the sustainable fashion industry, but I think it will take a while.
Yeah.
Amazing response. So when I first shared about my idea with Wearwise, everybody was like, wow, that's amazing. And people actually love the idea. But there is still only a certain amount, at least at the moment, that are willing to spend the money. So everybody is like, wow, that's amazing. But I think only half of those people understand the importance of it. And that's why I want to raise more and more awareness, especially through social media, and show the importance of turning or shifting to a more sustainable life.
Where do my hope lies? In our generation. I believe in education. Today's youth are tomorrow's leaders, and it all starts with educating our next generation. There is a chance to save our planet and create a sustainable future. We are all in this together, and I believe the fashion industry can be the bassinet of change in our life. It is a platform that functions like a two-way highway. But until now, political, economic, social, and environmental trends were affecting our beloved industry. But now it is time to reverse and let fashion impact our political, economic, social, and environments of way of living.